Alrighty, so another fairy tale episode, another recap opening, and a new opening. So yeah, let's get started. So yeah, this is the first episode that we get watching the dub. If you guys have watched the sub, you've had this for a while. But if you're watching the dub, you guys will now know that the new opening is here. And it's actually a really good opening. I'm probably actually going to put it up there with one of my favorites. It feels like fairy tale. It actually really feels like fairy tale. If you guys didn't see my initial reaction to this, there's a link there. You can check out the actual video of me reacting to the opening, the new opening. So I knew that it was coming. I've already seen it, but it was kind of refreshing to actually see it in context as opposed to just pulling it from YouTube. But it's definitely up there with some of my top anime openings for Fairy Tail. It may actually make it into a project that I have working that is a secret project, so shh, don't tell anybody. Anyway, so after the opening, we get into the episode, and a lot of things happen in this episode, a lot of setup, a lot of fighting, and I'm going to talk about the things I like first, because I like the damning with praise approach. Number one, I like the fact that we have everybody back in Magnolia. It's back as it is, because Irene killed herself, which was stupid. Magnolia's back to the way it was, and we have Mavis directing everybody to kind of, find a place, defend it. We know this territory. Do your best. And that's exactly what they seem to do until August decides to rain on their parade with magic power, and he was basically planning to kill everyone. And we haven't really seen a 100% just raw demonstration of his power. We've only really seen it in use when it comes to him fighting off multiple people at a time, but simply using their magic ability against them. So I'm waiting to see an actual, full-blown demonstration of his power. Another thing that I really, really like, Makarov's still dead. That makes me sound like a really awful person now that I think about it, but I like the fact that he's dead, because as we know, long-running fairy tale characters never seem to stay dead. Even the longest-running dead character, Lizana, came back at some point because she was not actually ever dead. She got teleported to another world. I'm not going to get into that, but he's still dead. I hope he stays dead. I'm not an awful person. I just hate death fake-outs, but for some reason I still like Fairy Tail. Whatever. I also really like the new opening title cards with the 3D Fairy Tail text and the lightning. I don't know why, but I like it. And I actually really like the conclusion between Lucy and Brandish, because it just feels so natural, because we know now that Lucy and Brandish have somewhat of a connection from childhood. Their mothers worked together, but it feels a lot more natural than most of the other kind of wrap-ups between related characters or between characters who know each other. This feels the most natural of the ones we've had recently, just because this was sort of the first tie-in that we had in this arc of two characters knowing each other. It wasn't a sudden, I'm your mother, like with Irene. So I like it. But I also like how, while it seems Brandish has turned a new leaf, she still holds on to the, I'm not going to fight for you, but I'm just done fighting, so I'm going to leave. And when Lucy says maybe we'll meet again, we clearly see that Brandish understands the situation that Fairy Tail is now in, having to face off against August and his sheer, incredibly powerful magic ability. Even though she's seen what Fairy Tail is capable of as a whole and still thinks that they are going to die somehow. I don't know, I guess they don't have any context to the previous season, so I'll give her a pass. But I really like these moments from August's anger to the natural kind of finished progress of the overall, not really redemption arc, but character development that we get between Lucy and Brandish. I like those because they feel organic, they feel natural, they definitely seem to be something that you could actually imagine happening. What I don't like is what leads up to August's anger, because it just feels so unnatural. Example number one, we have Mira Jane facing off against Discount Jason Statham. These two have been going at it now for a little while, but Mira Jane has basically been completely drained of all of her magic power, or almost all of it. She is in not great shape, and she now thinks that she can take on this dude with no problems. Yeah, I would think that maybe that's a bit ambitious, but what pisses me off more is that she succeeds because he keeps his eyes shut, and she took out a member of the Spriggan 12 with one of her base demon forms. I'm going to say that again. She took out a member of the Spriggan 12, this is the guy who went up against Natsu and Lucy and was only defeated because they were able to hold out long enough to properly defeat him. They figured out what his trick was, essentially. Mira never figured out his trick. He essentially just used it enough, and Mira was powerful enough or clairvoyant enough or something to see his footprints, punch him, take him out. That was it. I get that the battles have been going on for a while, but I don't think that a member of the Spriggan 12 should be that weak after one fight that we've seen so far. Everything else he's done has basically been a slaughter. So, discount Jason Statham, you are an embarrassment to what you stood for. Mira, you are overpowered and now not. Whatever. The other example is Agio being defeated by Lizana and Elfman because of the familial bond that he understands, because his grandfather steps in and says, I can't take, let me keep my grandson, blah, blah, blah. And they try to make it into this sort of father or grandfather, grandson, brother, sister thing. And they try to make it like, I get that Fairy Tail is built around the theme of family. Believe me, that is something that I think they have done really well. But suddenly making the theme of family the reason why an enemy who had no problem demolishing your guild and demolishing your friends, the only reason he gave up is because of that. No. That is not how that works. But because he gives up due to his understanding of family, and because we have discount Jason Statham getting defeated by Mira, we have Brandish and Mary walking away. Well, Brandish has kind of shrunken her and is taking her away. But anyway, because they are no longer there, and because the rest of the Spriggan 12 are dead or defeated, that's why August gets angry. Him getting angry over that makes total sense. I would be angry about that too. But their reasonings for not fighting anymore make no sense. Just gonna throw that out there. So by making August demonstrate his power and plan to kill everybody because there are Spriggan 12 who are no longer faithful or Spriggan 12 who have been defeated, that makes total sense. But by saying that the reason why they were defeated or the reason why they don't want to fight anymore, the only natural one is with Lucy and with Brandish. That's the only interaction where they don't want to fight anymore that makes sense. And the only reason that Mary doesn't want to fight anymore is because she can't. She's been shrunken and captured and is taken away. Those make sense. The others don't. That's my rant. I'm done with that part. Just get your shit together, Fairy Tail. Come on. But after we have August planning to kill everyone, Gildarts shows up, and man, that was actually really cool because I love the fact that Gildarts is now back fighting. He breaks the church. He stands a pretty solid fight against August. Like, he's actually doing pretty well. And we get a slight reveal saying that I am a child of the Dark Wizard Zeref, essentially. Like, so it's seeming like August is apparently also a child of Zeref. I don't know if he's saying that symbolically or realistically, because at this point the ties between them wouldn't surprise me, but on the same hand I don't know exactly what they're going for anymore. So I'm going to take it as symbolic unless they play into it more. We'll see. But anyway, the fight between Gildarts and August was freaking awesome. I loved it. I love the fact that August could actually use Gildarts' crush magic against him. He could go into a cube form and attack him. That was so cool. And we also see that when Kana shows up and we have another father and daughter bond or father and daughter relationship, that also seems to anger August. Now, we don't get much past that because it looks like the rest of the fight's going to happen next episode, but seeing that anger is the only thing in my head that's making me think that maybe the son of Zeref thing might not be symbolic, but we'll see. But anyway, that was cool. I liked that fight. I can't wait to see how it resolves itself. If it resolves itself with Gildarts, I don't know if it actually will, because in the opening we actually see Gildarts' metal arm getting cracked, so I guess we'll see what happens. But after that, everybody who is in the basement shows up at Lucy's door, except for Gray, because Gray seemingly vanished, and we find out where he is. He's the first to make it all the way to Zeref. How? I don't know. Why? Well, that's the interesting part. So he makes it to Zeref, and he is the first and only one so far to have been told of what Zeref's true plan is. We don't even know what that is. So we as the viewers are actually being kept in the dark to wonder what Zeref's main end game is, because my thought was that he wanted to die, but the second thing is he seems to want to defeat Agnologia, but now there's something else that Gray only knows that we don't know, so who knows? But Zeref thinks that he has Gray caught in a corner, because at this point, if Gray fights him one-on-one and doesn't win, which is the outcome that Zeref is predicting, then Natsu will be enraged. Gray will have lost everything, he will be dead. Natsu will become enraged, and this will be his final chance to fight with Natsu at full strength, giving him all he has. So, that's the first option. Second option that Zeref thinks he has is if he does die, Natsu dies. Gray loses everything anyway because he's now lost his dearest friend. Those are the two options that he thinks of. But Gray has a very interesting option that I wouldn't have thought of if the opening hadn't showed me. So thank you. Yes, you guys are right. There are occasionally spoilers in the opening. There are probably a lot of spoilers in here. I have no context until they happen. Surprisingly, one of the big plot beats of this episode happened in the very first opening. So there's that. Gray plans to use Ice Shell. Not just Ice Shell, Lost Ice Shell. And this is different from the one that his master Ur used, because Ur used one, but she was still remembered. Here's the difference. Gray channels all of his magic power into basically making this iced shell. He will be forgotten because he's converting his life, his memory, everything into magic power. That's a big deal, man. That actually means that if he succeeds, he will be completely forgotten. Now, nobody ever dies off the Fairy Tail Guild roster, so he's probably going to get punched in the face by Natsu again and told to stop. That's probably what's going to happen. But because of the power of this magic that Gray's using, it actually seems to really concern Zeref, which means that it might actually be effective in stopping Zeref without killing him and without killing Natsu. So that is going to be a very interesting plot beat that I'm interested to see them play out on either next episode or several episodes from now, but that all comes down to what they end up doing, so I guess we'll see. Either way, there were quite a few weak points in this episode, especially with the way that two of the Spriggan 12 who have been Agiel, who has been the biggest pain in the neck, he was the first pain in the neck for Fairy Tail at the very beginning of this arc. He was defeated, which granted he's been defeated now 3 times, so I'll give him a bit of a pass. I think he would be pretty weak, but Discount Jason Statham should not have been that weak. And I'm only calling him that because I don't remember his name, and I don't care to remember his name, because he was a pansy. Either way, Discount Jason Statham and Agiel should not have been defeated that easily if they are the Spriggan 12, so it just felt unnatural for that to happen. Granted, they made up for it with some fairly natural character development, character dialogue, a nice tie-off end to the arc that we had between Lucy and Brandish, and we even have a bit of fan service, not really fan service, but a bit of like ship hinting with Natsu because he went completely nuts because he was afraid that Lucy had been killed, and we see Lucy kind of all, cute in the back. So, yeah. Either way, decent episode. I wouldn't say it was the best episode so far, but we definitely have something to look forward to with next episode, considering that Gray is choosing to off himself and have everybody he's ever known forget who he is, which I'm pretty sure we've had Fairy Tail episodes where magic has brought them back by remembering who they are. It's either that or I'm thinking of a Doctor Who episode. I'm not sure. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out the links down below where you can actually watch this show on your own. Again, if you're not in the US, I don't have anything for you, unfortunately, for legal watching, but if you can find a means of legally watching it, please do. It means a lot because I try not to promote piracy ever. But otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, check out the links. Let me know what you guys thought, because I actually really want to know what you guys think about my reviews so far. I'm trying to get as much detail into them as possible, and I hope it shows. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure to be there, and have a good one.